Computer, destruct sequence 1, code 1, 1A.
Abandon ship! Sound the alarm.
What have I done? What you had to do.
All hands abandon ship! Repeat! All hands abandon...
If there's anything we've learned over the last few decades of watching television, mainly Game of Thrones, it's sometimes the main character has to die.
There is gloom and doom while things go boom.
Today we're discussing all the times the Enterprise was destroyed on the screen.
Live long and prosper.
First up, In a Mirror Darkly, Part 1. In the Star Trek Enterprise two-parter In a Mirror Darkly, the flagship of the Terran Empire, the ISS Enterprise in XO1, met its demise at the hands of the Tholians.
But if you haven't seen the two-parter, you should definitely check it out because there are so many great moments.
So there's Mirror Porthos, the creation of the Agonizer booth, First Officer Archer making a play for Captain, and a whole lot of sexual innuendo.
You've been listening to propaganda.
Trapped in a Tholian energy web while attempting to capture the USS Defiant, the Enterprise sustained heavy damage. The vessel was destroyed by an antimatter containment breach.
And most importantly, there's a direct connection to the original series episode, The Tholian Web, where we see a scene from basically a recreated scene of the Defiant at the end of that episode going into this episode.
Next up, Twilight. In the Star Trek Enterprise episode Twilight, Captain Archer gets infected by interspatial parasites, leading to a series of alternate events where the Xindi completely destroy Earth.
This episode takes on anterogate amnesia head-on. Archer is unable to retain new memories and can only remember things that happened before his infection.
In the episode, we're privy to vignettes of Archer's life as he grows older but constantly has to relive the agony of his current situation and a constant feeling of uselessness.
So I'm supposed to stay locked up in my quarters all day?
All the while, Xindi forces have decimated the human race and Starfleet as remnants scurry to other planets to find some sense of safety and security. Archer eventually lands at a resettlement on Ceti Alpha 5, where T'Pol steps in as his caretaker.
While the current state of the human race is pretty bleak, all is not lost as Phlox has been working on a cure for many, many years. So Archer and T'Pol meet with Phlox aboard the Enterprise in an attempt to cure the parasites, as we learn that the Enterprise is the only source of energy that is powerful enough to administer the treatment.
During this treatment attempt, Phlox discovers that destroying the parasites in the present time would effectively erase them in the past, thereby changing history so that Archer would have never been affected in the first place. While under attack from the Xindi, and in one final desperate act to alter this horrific timeline, Archer vaporizes the Enterprise in a subspace implosion, therefore preventing the original parasite infection in Archer's brain from ever happening, thus creating a new timeline.
While this episode has some really, really great moments, it's very heartfelt and also underlines T'Pol's commitment to Archer, acting sort of like a caretaker from an aging parent or loved one who has dementia. So if you haven't seen this episode, you should go check it out. It's a beautifully executed and heartbreaking episode with actually a happy, somewhat heartwarming ending.
Next up, Cause and Effect, TNG Season 5, Episode 18. The Enterprise blows up a lot in this episode, and I mean a lot. Caught in a temporal causality loop near the Typhon Expanse, the USS Enterprise-D was repeatedly destroyed in a catastrophic collision with the USS Bozeman. The crew experienced feelings of deja vu, eventually breaking the cycle and averting the Enterprise's destruction in the final iteration. Cause and Effect is an excellent time loop episode. Here's how it goes. The Enterprise encounters a temporal distortion and an unidentified ship emerges on a collision course.
Suggestions.
Commander Riker suggests decompressing the main shuttle bay. Data suggests using the tractor beam to alter the other ship's trajectory. Picard goes for the tractor beam option, which proves to be insufficient. The ship collides with the Enterprise, which leads to a warp core breach. The Enterprise explodes, killing everyone on board. These catastrophic events then repeat themselves as the loop resets. Crew members begin to experience a feeling of deja vu.
Deuce. 6.
These feelings become stronger and more widespread among the senior staff and others. Dr. Crusher also hears disembodied voices, which she theorizes are echoes from previous loops. LaForge experiences dizziness caused by his visor converting small distortions from a Dekian field into non-existent images, which is linked to the temporal anomaly. Recognizing that they forget most things in each reset, they need a way to transfer knowledge between loops. LaForge and Data propose modulating a Dekian emission. This modulation, if done correctly, would set up a resonance in Data's positronic subprocessors, leaving a short post-hypnotic suggestion that Data would receive in the next loop. Strangely enough, the end of this episode where Data finally figures out what the hypnotic message that he's been getting, these multiple threes, what it actually means, it felt a lot like Endgame. And while Data is the one who picks up the hypnotic message and eventually deciphers it that saves the ship, I have to say that the true standout character in this episode is Beverly Crusher. And we even get Kelsey Grammer as Captain Battison of the USS Bozeman in this episode. Next up, the search for Spock. After Kirk and crew make their heroic return from the Genesis planet, Sarek informs Kirk that he must return Spock's body and its Katra to Mount Seleia on Vulcan. Oopsie. Of course, this leads Kirk to go rogue with help from Scotty, Bones, Chekhov, Sulu, and also a little help from Uhura there with the transporter. And they take our beloved ship on one final heroic mission. Our crew confronts Doc Brown, Crudge, who is a Klingon commander hell-bent on uncovering the secrets of Genesis. Their showdown leaves both ships in dire straits. And rather than allow the Enterprise to be taken and reveal the secrets of Genesis, Kirk blows that sucker up by ordering a self-destruct sequence. And subsequently, we see the Enterprise burn up its atmosphere. If there's one thing I can say about going back and watching the original series movies, I really appreciate some of the care that's taken to further develop and expand these characters. Go for the search for Spock, stay for the feels. Next up, Star Trek Generations, and quite honestly, this might be one of my most memorable versions of the Enterprise being destroyed. We start the movie with the christening and maiden voyage of the Enterprise-B, with special guest Captain Kirk, Chekhov, and Scotty on board. A distress call leads to a run-in with the Nexus ribbon, where a handful of survivors are rescued.
Let me go back!
But unfortunately, we seem to lose Admiral Kirk in the encounter. An Ilarian named Dr. Tolian Sorin is one of these survivors of the encounter, but unfortunately he's hell-bent on returning to the Nexus. 78 years later, Sorin solicits the help of the Klingons to steal trilithium from the Romulans. The Klingons are in it to get schematics on a trilithium weapon, but Sorin uses the trilithium to generate quantum implosions on both the Amargosa star and the Viridian star, with hopes to shift the Nexus ribbon to Viridian 3. But of course, we're here to see what happens in Enterprise-D, right? After the Klingons discover the shield modulation of the Enterprise through some rather crafty methods, I must admit, the Enterprise-D sustains heavy damage. And after making quick work of the Klingons, Commander Riker orders saucer separation due to an imminent warp core breach, which allows for escape, but the shock wave from the explosion causes the saucer section to crash land on Viridian 3. Meanwhile, Kirk and Sorin are consumed by the Nexus wave after Sorin sent their trilithium weapon into the sun of Viridian 3, after which the Enterprise saucer section is destroyed with the rest of the planet, but due to some timey-wimey shenanigans, Picard and Kirk are able to return to Viridian 3 prior to Sorin launching the missile in the first place, therefore being able to stop him. Sadly, Kirk dies in the fight with Sorin. And if you've seen Star Trek Picard Season 3 mainly, hats off to Mr. LaForge for bringing that all back to life. Also, check out the Roddenberry Archives YouTube channel for a video called 765874 Regeneration, and also there's one called Unification, which kind of ties all these events together and shows a little bit of the reclamation of the Enterprise-D from Viridian 3. So definitely check that out on the YouTube channel. I'll put the links below. Last up, Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond. A movie that takes that J.J. Abrams Kelvin universe big budget and kicks it to the next level. But Kirk is tired, really tired. 966 days and 3 years into its 5-year mission.
I actually love how this movie frames the rigors of a prolonged mission in space. And as forementioned, we start this movie with Kirk really doubting his mission.
The cure? A kick in the butt from an ex-Federation officer hell-bent on the destruction of Starfleet.
And that brings us where the Enterprise meets its maker by way of an ambush by a swarm over the planet Altamide.
The swarm, of course, being a tiny group of mighty ships commanded by the tyrant Crawl.
And I have to admit, the first time I saw this, I was just pure and utterly shocked. I mean, the pure visuals of the attack by the swarm ship on the Enterprise is beautiful destruction. Even if we don't want to see our flagship destroyed, it's just a beautifully rendered and executed display from the team at Bad Robot. And also love that this movie, like, even after the saucer section is crash land on a planet, we revisit the saucer section there to get the artifact and also scan the planet. I love how they still make use of the saucer section and even its very destructive state, even on the planet of Altamide. This is just a great, kind of a team up movie in a lot of ways. And I hate that I was so harsh on this movie the first time I saw it because of the resolution, which I still think is stupid. But I think the movie is quite amazing. So there you have it. And look at all the times the Starship with the name Enterprise was destroyed on screen in canon that I know of. Each destruction has significant consequences, shaping both the narratives and destinies of the characters we love. The spirit of the Enterprise, however, endures as, there's always a -A or -something around the corner. Which destruction of the Enterprise did you find the most impactful? Please let us know in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe to this video, and we'll talk to you guys next time.